Update. Am I the a-hole for not rehoming my cats when my baby daddy's new wife is deathly allergic? Original post. I, 24 female, have recently gotten new cats. My daughter, 6, has always wanted cats and she has an obsession with them. She frequently says, "All I want in this world are cats." However, baby daddy's, 25, new wife, also 25, is deathly allergic to cats and has been to the hospital once for it. I have multiple friends with cats, and my daughter is frequently around them and plays with them, then goes over to baby daddy and wife's house. And there has never been a complaint of allergies. I was told by the wife that she would start taking allergy shots and would be good to go in around a month's time. I found the perfect cat sibling pair from an adoption agency in my area, and with the info on it being about a month, I had a friend agree to watch them in the transition period. I would also take caution with giving baths, changing clothes, etc. if my daughter did see the cats. Well, yesterday I let them know that she had come in contact with the cats briefly, but she was bathed and put in freshly washed clothes that had not been in the same house as them. I was told to still take her over to her grandparents' house for another rinse-off and change of clothes just in case. After dropping her off, I received a call from baby daddy, where he told me his wife could no longer get the shots since they just found out she's pregnant. He said he would like the cats rehomed or returned to the adoption agency. My biggest concern is for my daughter, and I genuinely believe if the cats were taken from her permanently, it would be traumatic for how long and how badly she's wanted them. Not to mention the resentment it would cause toward the wife and new baby, and that's just a horrible thing to do after giving a pet a new home after being rescued. Also, I would be effectively blacklisted from all rescues and agencies if I were to do that, and rightly so. I ended up getting another call the day after saying they were in the ER for hours and spent a bunch of money for the visit, and the cats need to be rehomed. But like I said before, my daughter has been around cats many times and gone over there, and there's never been an issue. I find it hard to believe that after 2 baths and clothes changes, it truly caused such a bad reaction that the hospital was necessary. It's also important to note that the 3 of us have not always gotten along, especially since the wife was my best friend for a while before I found out she got with him. We were on very bad terms for a very long time, so I find it hard to give up something me and my daughter have been so excited for. I've worked so hard to get to a place where we can get them, only to be told we can't because of their decision to have a new baby. So, they're still asking the cats be given back or rehomed and making me feel like I'm the bad guy. Am I the a-hole? Also, edit to add, they were both aware for a long time the end plan was to get cats ASAP. That's why she was going to start the shots. They were not blindsided by this plan, and I told the wife when I got them. It was fine before they found out about the pregnancy. Edit 2. Since for some reason I have to preface this was not in retaliation or out of spite or anything in that way toward the wife. We just moved to a place that can have cats. We couldn't at the previous place, and I have been wanting cats since before I even knew the dad in high school. I do not think about them when I'm not directly speaking to them, so adopting cats was purely for the joy of me and my daughter, not to cause problems. And again, they knew this was happening and there were no issues. The cats were adopted and they were informed before finding out she was pregnant, and the plan was fine then, so it was not me trying to make life harder for wife. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Do not give up the cats. I feel a bath and a change of clothes and no transfer from house to house should be fine. I just don't understand. Can she not sit in a booth at a restaurant if someone before her had a cat and sat there, even if they cleaned the booth? I wouldn't even do this anymore with this behavior and absolute nonsense. They can bathe her and change her clothes if it's this level of concern. Let's be brutal for a moment. OP is being a petty a-hole and she knows it. People who are allergic to cats typically have it to where it can affect their breathing. I know firsthand, as one of my daughters suffers from a cat allergy, as do I. And as a mom with a baby daddy, if I was lucky enough that his wife was allergic, that simp would have a tombstone by now. I get it, but to make life easy for your daughter, talk to her and explain how having cats right now could hurt dad's wife. at least compromise with the adults, that after the baby's born, they'll revisit the cat thing when stepmom can go back to getting allergy shots. Now that you're being the bigger person, if stepmom starts with excuses for putting off the allergy shots, go ahead and buy a barrel of cats. And if folks fall out, well, then dad will have to figure it out. You tried. I'm really not being petty. Please see again where I had full permission and everyone was on board, and they only changed their mind after the cats were fully adopted. I've also messaged the dad about them helping with the extra cost for switching them to that allergy cat food, so we will see what he says. I'm willing to work with them. I just don't think it's fair to me or my daughter to ask us to rehome when we were given the green light already. Not the a-hole. You informed them of your plan and new wife should have done her due diligence beforehand. Either protection, or if they were trying, how did she not know pregnancy could interfere with taking the shot? Which, honestly, I don't think it does. But baby daddy could use this as an excuse to see less and less of the daughter. My first thought was either both or new wife are trying to push this kid out, now that the new baby is in the way. So it's actually the opposite. He's now trying to get me to give up my time with her until they figure out what to do, so they don't want her to come over here at all until then, so that she isn't re-exposed and sent back to the hospital after another switch-off week. I told them this is not going to happen, as my time with my daughter is the most valuable to me, and they're mad that I won't give her up. I've told them I'm willing to take her as long as needed until they figure it out, but obviously that was not taken well. Now for the first update. Thank you all so much for your feedback and suggestions. I'm not going to be giving many details as it's now going to court. I ended up offering to feed the special food a bunch of y'all suggested for allergies. Thanks again. Use sprays, quarantine clothes, etc. And they told me they are not willing to even try those. The only option is to get rid of them. The wife has now tried and failed. They couldn't find a judge to sign it LOL to put a restraining order on me that states if I don't get rid of my cats, then I'm banned from seeing and having all contact with my daughter until I do. Obviously, this is wildly excessive, and I have an abundance of evidence to disprove the severity, and her claims that I'm trying to harm her on purpose. My daughter let it slip that the wife's parents have cats that my daughter pets when they go to visit. Oops. But even more so, when I talked to my psychiatrist about this at our last appointment, she felt that my cats were necessary to my anxiety disorder. We have talked about me getting emotional support animals for a while now, so she wrote me a note, and they are now officially my legal support animals. This should take care of the restraining order. However, I was also served with papers, as many of you guessed, trying to take my daughter from me. Apparently, the wife has been keeping a calendar of all the days I've had my daughter versus her. She started this calendar before they were even engaged. Wild. To try and show they should get my daughter, since they had her more on paper. However, this is due to the fact that I needed to save up some money in order to put down the first and last month's rent, etc. at my new apartment. So she offered to help as much as I need and encouraged me to pick up extra shifts so that I would have my finances in order. She is now using those times she helped against me and saying I can't care for my daughter on my own with the job I have. I'm honestly sick to my stomach that I've tried so hard to be the bigger person, constantly put up with their shenanigans and crossing boundaries with a smile on my face for the sake of my daughter, all to be once again stabbed in the back by both of them. They don't really have a case, and I have a lot more on them than they have on me, so I'm not worried. Just disappointed that people are truly this evil, even after you try to give them the benefit of the doubt. Custody is between you and baby daddy, not you and new wife. If he wants a visitation, that can be arranged outside of their home. The logistics of that are for him to figure out. You aren't responsible. Yeah, it's all filed under his name and from him, but I was informed it was her keeping track on her own volition. She can keep track of whatever she wants. She's not part of the custody agreement, and her allergies don't dictate what you can and can't have in your house. At the end of all of this, can you get a restraining order against her for all the nonsense she's pulled? She's already trying to alienate you. I'd be worried about her retaliating. I don't know. I have to ask my lawyer. But honestly, I'm scared of her for how psychotic she is. She's been trying to build a case to take my daughter away from me for a year, and I've tried to be super nice and let her be involved in planning my daughter's birthday party. That I had to have a talk with her afterwards about crossing boundaries that a girlfriend at the time shouldn't. I've offered to take our dogs, my parents' dog and hers, to the dog park together, invited her to zoo days, etc., all to try and help our relationship, or at least pretend it's some normalcy for my daughter's sake. The fact that during all of this she's had a smile on her face, and here I am like an idiot thinking, okay, this is doable, I can manage this, only to be hit out of left field that they've been plotting against me the whole time. Truly, it's giving psychotic vibes that she could just do that and not show any guilt. Now for the final update. Thank you again to everyone who has commented with advice and support. This is going to be quick. We had court, and the judge denied their case and had extremely harsh words for both of them. She told them it's not my responsibility to deal with her allergies at my house. They need to come up with a solution on their end or relinquish his rights to me if it's truly that bad of an issue. She also told stepmom she's not a parent, should never be listed as such, and needs to back off. There was a whole lot more, but I'll just leave it with this. It was thrown out, and I've been validated that I've been more than accommodating when it's not even my problem to deal with. My daughter can keep her cats. Thank you all again. I feel like there will be another update. That kind of court bombshell won't just end peacefully. We should start taking bets on if divorce will happen. Oh, I'm very sure it's not over and I'll put some money in that bet, but at least the cat's part of the story. They are safe and protected to stay. That's the best outcome. You know the fight isn't totally over, but at least the cats are safe, and the judge made it clear you're in the right. That's a huge win already. This is very satisfying. How did they respond? Not a peep from them. They went in super confident and talkative, and at the end walked out with heads held low. Don't think they expected to be scolded by the judge. Hopefully you don't get any further backlash from them. I'm worried they're going to just try other things to try to control what you do now. My idiot ex tried to get me in trouble for leaving my kid at home alone until I got home from work. The face on the investigator who knocked on my door, only to find out that kid was 17 years old and only a couple months from their 18th birthday, was great. Last story. Am I the a-hole accused of being cruel and heartless to my step-family because I resent dad for bringing me into it to begin with? When I-20 male was 10, my dad came home one day and said he met someone. He was in love with her and they were moving in, and then he would marry her to make us a family. He told me she had 2 kids and one had autism. He said changes would need to be made to our house before they moved in, for safety, and he had me help adapt our house. When I wasn't happy about it, he told me not to be so negative about it, and that I'd have a brother and sister after this, and we'd have a bigger family. He said it was a good chance after losing mom 2 years before that point. The day they moved in was chaotic, and I moved into a tiny room so I wouldn't have to share with my 5-year-old stepbrother, because to keep my bedroom, I had to share it. My stepbrother was a lot worse than I was prepared for. He would explode into these outbursts, and he had to wear a brace on his head to stop him from seriously hurting himself. But he would slam into people too, and a few times he ended up getting hurt when slamming into me because my instinct was to protect myself. There were times he spent hours screaming and throwing things, and he had to be contained in one room so nobody else got hurt. But a few times my dad's wife couldn't do it, and I was yelled at because I didn't get my stepsister, who was 3 when they moved in, to safety, and I just hid out in my room and didn't help. Then my dad and his wife had a baby together, and during his wife's pregnancy, I was expected to step up and help more. But I resented it. I hated being put in that position because of people I didn't want in my life. To me, it was being told I had to sacrifice my happiness and my life as I knew it for strangers who meant nothing to me and brought nothing positive into my life or my family. I had to give up my room or share with a younger kid who was violent and didn't sleep. I was asked to protect an even younger child from the violent child during outbursts and expected to care for this child like she was my sister and I loved her, when I didn't. And that's not to mention the fact I could no longer have friends over. I could no longer play video games. because most video games were a trigger for him. And every time I went to stay with my grandparents for a sleepover, I was shamed for not taking my stepsister. Then I had a half-sister added to that shame when she was born, and also another who I was supposed to protect. Oh, and Dad had no time just for me anymore. My dad and his wife had visits from 2 therapists and a social or caseworker who would provide them with resources for help and check to make sure things were going okay, which apparently meant that was okay. My dad and his wife complained about how much time I spent hidden in my room, but they weren't okay with me going to friends' houses or my grandparents' house either. When I didn't entertain my stepsister, that was another big complaint, or when I refused to watch my stepbrother for a few minutes. It led me to leave without asking for permission and locking myself in my room when I was punished for it. So the punishment couldn't be babysit stepsister and or half-sister or help us with stepbrother. Even when he went into respite care temporarily, I was expected to use that time to be fun with the girls. I was there until I was 15, when I basically went nuts one day when the social worker was visiting and I let out all my resentment and hatred for them. She pulled me aside and we talked, and then she talked to my dad. He resisted, but she said it would be safer for everyone if I left. I was placed with my grandparents and therapy with my dad was ordered, which he flaked on 80% of the time. My resentment didn't go away when I turned 18. I had no regrets about not being there anymore. I was so glad I was removed before COVID lockdowns happened because I would have been stuck inside with them for a year. And that, even after 3 years of being gone, was a nightmare to me. Dad told me a few months ago he wanted to fix things, and I told him he couldn't. I said he made my life worse when he decided to blend families with his wife, and I would never stop resenting him for it. I said he could still feel it was worth it, but nothing good came out of that for me, and my feelings had not changed. I said I wish I could erase ever having met them. Since then, I get 1 or 2 messages a week from him or his wife, accusing me of being cruel and heartless to my step-family, and especially the kids who don't deserve to be wished away like that. I'm always reminded that one is my bio-sibling too, and that I should be glad to have her and want a relationship. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You do not owe anyone a relationship. Your dad chose to get married and parent those kids. You didn't. You are an adult and can choose whom you want in your life. Yes, he made those choices. I think he also attempted to force choices and roles onto me which were never fair. He was all too willing to make me a protector even though I was just a kid too, and I had no emotional connection with either of those kids. Not the a-hole. You survived an abusive and unfair childhood situation. Your resentment and desire to keep distance are valid. Being accused of being cruel for protecting yourself is a projection from your father and his wife. Thank you. I hate knowing they expect so much out of me still, even though I asked for none of it and was protected the least.